Hello, my name is Jessica Laird. I'm a guidance worker here at Dublin North West Area Partnership. We aim to provide opportunities for people to access education, training and employment within the Dublin 7 and 11 area. The When I Grow Up project came from the neighbourhood scheme from Dublin City Council and Poetry Ireland, and it was set up to explore a writer in residency scheme and look at groups to tap into their creativity and explore performance and art. So the three groups involved in the project are the Meeting Place Club, F.A.S.T and Tirnanog in St Helena's Family Resource Centre. Yeah, so the stigma attached to people within the Finglas area unfortunately is a disadvantage. There is some statistics that will say, there's early school dropout, there is drug use, there is unemployment rates, but there's also a great celebration within the Finglas area, within the spirit of the community, coming together, expressing themselves, and achieving big and aiming big. The journey for the participants taking part starts off with our writer in residence exploring 6 weeks workshops in creative writing, poetry, expression, which will lead to 2 weeks rehearsals and then a live show performance in the Access Theatre in Ballymun.
I am the writer in residence, so my role, I really see it as a facilitator. I go in and I speak to the groups and I kind of show them how I write, where I get inspiration from, how I develop that inspiration, like putting a story together, putting poetry together, piecing a narrative. When Jessica came to me with the project, that she kind of mentioned some of the groups that we'd be working with, and the groups are so varied that straight away I was really interested in working with all of them. And then when I met them individually, there was so much potential there.
Geoff first performed within the workshops, and immediately I knew that he had something special. He had an awful lot to offer. He was so kind and considerate.
It was wonderful. So like after the first week I knew that this was going to be something really, really special.
F.A.S.T are an organisation called Finglas Addiction Service Team, and they've been set up for people in the area that have long-term addiction issues and that they're in long-term recovery.
Well, I'm from Finglas, so to me it's extremely important. There is only 2 addiction services in Finglas for the amount of people that's actually in, I think just something like 37,000 people in Finglas. Look, there's times here we can be inundated with people coming through the door, so it's very, very needed in the area. Coming in here is a huge step for some people. You see people sometimes pacing up and down outside before they come through the door. And we have to recognise how difficult that is for people to do. So when they come in, that needs to be, they need to be able to trust. They need to be able to feel welcomed. They need to be able to establish that bond with whoever it is that they're going to work with, because they're going to start talking about some really serious life stuff, When I went into F.A.S.T, you could sense that there was slightly reserved there, but that they were going, okay, this is actually something that could be really positive for us. Geoff was he was amazing, if I'm to be really honest. The group took to him straight away. He came in and he exposed his vulnerability himself. I would tell them stories about my life. I would tell them like some of the poems that were a bit more personal to me, so that I was like, okay, here's who I am. People didn't know what to expect. I watched the faces as he was doing it, and they were kind of like, oh, what's going on here, But by doing that, he allowed people to become vulnerable themselves. I thought it was really strong when you said like stability, the way like that's the dream, stability. It was really beautiful. Like it was really, really pure, beautiful, and art and creativity, it can save us, because it's our own expression. In any art form, there's kind of 2 different sides, the yin and the yang. There's the darkness and the light, and a lot of times in art it's really easy to focus on the darkness because it's such a powerful emotion and it's very, very easy to write or to paint about.
but there's also the brightness, there's also the positivity.
Just me and Star. That was my horse and she was deadly. Full brown body with 4 white socks and Star on the top. Just perfect. We were best friends because she never answered me back. 2 free souls riding around Finglas having the crack.
Your reading there for a first time was very good. We're going to have to slow you down a little bit more.
See, I do read so quick because I just want to get it over.
I know.
In my head I'm
But
going
we've got a couple of weeks to practice. Like, I kind of liked how you wanted to be in a band when you were younger, and now you're in a band.
Yeah. We'd be on, you know, beans. Deco would be have a mop singing into it, and Jimmy'd have a shovel guitar or something. One Christmas morning we got up and there was a drum kit there, guitar, piano. So that then we set off then.
I got involved with F.A.S.T like back about 2 years ago. Lorraine come up to the rehabilitation place where I was in the STAR project. Oh, Lorraine is very good. Like if you have a problem, you can come in and talk to Lorraine. I've done it before I went into treatment. You know, it was a bit edge. You come in and talk to Lorraine. When we grew up, you see, we were young. We got involved in drugs, drink. It was not a good experience. We were a bit wild.
Oh, I got into a depression. I isolated myself.
Okay, yeah.
Stayed in for two years, but then I got very sick.
Yeah.
With diabetes, type 1 diabetes. Nearly died.
Jesus.
Since I come out of coma. Playing music now, I feel it even more. I have no substance on me anymore. I really enjoy it better. So, we're living it again.
I think it was absolutely amazing. You know, now looking at it, I did not expect it to be what it turned out to be. It gave such a safe space for people to be able to come and share their stuff, you know, so I think they're all really, really brave and really strong, you know. I admire them every day of the week, you know, to come into the service at all. I think that takes courage and guts, so I'm so proud.
I love going into the building, I have to say, because it's so bright. Straight away there's this incredible energy off it. Like, they shed a huge amount of light on the area, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And when you see one of the murals out the back, there's a tree, and the leaves are kind of dark, and as they're flowing away in the wind, it just goes like lighter and lighter and lighter until the hands are gold. And I think that for me kind of shows what F.A.S.T is. When the people come in, they might have something dark in their soul, but as they're there, the longer they're there, the further away they're going to drift until they become these golden souls again. And that's the way I kind of see it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I've been working on it all week, but it's still very rough. I met a boy, got married at 25. As we knelt at the altar, we hadn't a clue that mental illness and addiction would rip at our hearts. And with it, our dreams.
There's nothing that I'd say to you to change it. I think your descriptions are incredible. The arc from the beginning of it as it's going through.
Well, it's twofold. There is a part of the writing process that is about emptying what's inside, and the other part of the writing process is my need to get my story out to help other people. F.A.S.T has been, for me, it wouldn't be too big a story to say that F.A.S.T has kept me where I am, kept me grounded. When there have been wobbles, it's always F.A.S.T, you know, that keeps you back. Their hope is to become dual diagnosis, which will be a big change in this society. While local politicians could do far more to be involved, as well as listening to stories. When I'm working with the forum, you know, the politicians or the local councillors will come up to you and say, lovely story, great story, and where are you now? And as soon as you start to say, but this is what I hope, you can see their face blank over. So it's that bit by doing it in this short form or in music, short forms is the way to grab their attention. And if we're grabbing public attention, well, they've got to get interested then. They really do.
St Helena's Tiernan Oak offer a variety of supports from children up to elderly to access services for their social, psychological and educational needs.
They get together and they do different activities. There's always tea and cakes, which they were more than willing to share with me at each time, which is great. And then they just chat, and it's kind of a social group, and they go on social outings, and it's for the women that are in the Finglas area. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, I think there is a social aspect to it, apart from.
I think there's a lot of fun in the group, isn't there? We have a lot of fun.
We have good fun, and we're all the company. The company is good,
and no one's judgmental. You feel you can say what you want to say, and
and there's no.
It's very well received by everyone.
We all know each other very, very well, and there's a great warm feeling in the group, and we all get on and we like each other. And I think because of that lovely trust that's here, that's built with Patsy in the group, with all of us, we feel safe, as if expressing ourselves. We're in a safe environment.
With Helena's, I approached the workshops about inspiration and where to go with inspiration, and I was waiting for the group to present itself to me of like, what is the story here? And what I found was that they were going back to really interesting times in their life, from when they were very, very young, or when they were teenagers, or when they were in their 20s. And these are stories that are kind of like 40, 50, 60 years old, you know, and stories that have not been lost, because I think that's been very dramatic, but stories that have maybe slightly forgotten about.
Before Geoff came into Tiernan Oak, my only experience around writing anything would have been writing an essay in school. And so the day Geoff came in and said about creative writing and so on, I kind of got a bit scared, because I thought, I could never do that. I think a lot of us in the group would never, ever have thought of expressing ourselves in that way, or going into our memories in such a way, and writing about things that we maybe, some things we've written about, and some of the stories I've heard from my friends in the group, they've never talked about it before. It's been a great way of expressing themselves of things from the past, and it's like a form of healing in a way.
I'm at a better time now in my life, in that I've found peace and tranquility. This has given me great freedom to express myself and enjoy life. That is where I am at the moment, ready to go forward without fear.
Yeah, but I think also there's people living on their own.
Yeah.
A lot of the group, and I think it's great for anyone living on their own, especially to come here and meet their friends and have a tea and chat and have a laugh.
Mentally it's good.
Yeah, I think it's
Mentally it's good. Mentally, yeah.
And this is an area for people to go and meet and chat and have fun and laugh and sing and do all the wonderful things that people should be doing, and you can see by them like they've got an incredible energy.
My love, when you're ready, and any time, call me.
The group was so big, I wanted to make sure that everybody had the chance to perform on stage, whereas and that meant not doing individual pieces, so it had to be a collective. So then I just took the writings over the course of 6 weeks and then pieced together a narrative. But I didn't change any of the words. I just took little pieces from this person to put together a narrative, which is called Returning to Innocence. Because when I saw the ladies, what I kind of realised was that when you're a child, you have this naivety and innocence where the whole world is almost like a playground to you, but then you put these insecurities in yourself as you're growing up. And then when I came back to this group, as I was there over the weeks, I was like, this is like being around the innocence again of children, because they have no insecurities. They're very secure in themselves and what they believe in.
I want to be the stand I think I'm next one.
Yeah.
When I grow up, I want to drive an ambulance.
I want to be a doctor.
I want to be a nurse so I can help people.
I want to be a policewoman.
I want to be Santi.
I want to drive an ambulance. I want to be an air hostess.
I want to have a full muffler because rich people have them.
I want to be a fairy.
When people are talking about like that they don't want to grow up, I can't wait to be in that. You know what I mean? Like if that's what's in front of you, that returning to innocence, that beauty and that wonder at life still, you know, as you're growing up. But I hadn't really seen that aspect on such a grand scale.
The Meeting Place Club are a group of parents who set up the organisation to help with parents struggling with children on the spectrum or with autism.
Well, I suppose the Meeting Place Club, if I was to be honest, was actually a project I was doing many years ago when I was doing the thesis, and the idea in communications was set up a group and see what you do. Was it a passion? No. But I suppose for me, with my son, he was around 12 at the time and he had Asperger's syndrome, ADD, dyspraxia, and a condition called DAMP. So you basically were looking and saying, like, where do I go from here? But we want employment for our children, because no matter how many degrees you have, it doesn't matter. With a hidden disability, there is always that stigma, that segregation. So if we can tell anybody out there is our kids are amazing. They want to work, they want to be part of society. We're asking for the society in whole to adapt. If you could bring that into everyday life, it would make such a difference for our children. It would take away a lot of the anxiety they feel, but it'd make our life as carers and supporters and basically parents a lot better.
So the reason it's such a special place for us on a Tuesday night is the humour and the positivity that we share, and how, you know, nobody is ever criticised. Everybody just supports everyone else around the table.
I love this title, The Glass Slipper, which was what we thought was it might be a title of something that we could put into the show like that. The reason it's called The Glass Slipper is because the Cinderella kind of complex, where they get to go off into the ball for a time period, but then the slipper's lost and they go back to their normal lives. And this is going to be really, really crude, but this is going to be a stage, and having one spotlight here that comes on and off, and 5 people standing behind it, and then each of you having your turn to go into the spotlight and saying your piece. They had spent, like, dedicated to their children and fighting for the rights of their children. So I thought that that's incredibly important. However, they don't have that much time for themselves, and I wanted to make the groups a time when it was just about them, when it was just about their writing, just about their ideas. I was trying to tell them that this is their time, you know, that like this is a time for just them. Right. So glimmers are, again, it's another sense. So, like, inspiration comes from a variety of ways, but our senses are really important for inspiration because they're so strong and they evoke such strong memories. So with the Glimmers workshop, what it was is that I was saying to the guys, when we're walking, when we're going anywhere, not even if we're walking from a car and a bike or journeying anywhere, we're at point A and we're going to point B, and there's a point B is our focus point, so we're just trying to get there as quickly as possible. That's our focus. Everything else around us is kind of blurred as we're going. We don't really notice an awful lot. So with Glimmers, there is no point B.
Nobody ever knew we had a dog with us. He was that good at hiding. A few years later, Jacko got lost. We think somebody stole him. We searched everywhere. The whole family was so upset. We never got him back. It was the first time in my life my heart was ever broken.
The setup, the problem, and then the end. So the setup is that you have the dog, but then you're going to a park and then you see the sign, the problem, no dogs allowed, and then at the end, like, and the issue as it finishes off. Not all stories finish off happy, and this one, the dog ran, but the message went first time that my heart was broken. Setup, middle, and end, and it's brilliantly done, and it's so natural the way you do it. It's excellent. Excellent, great stuff.
I think it was a great chance for us to express ourselves as well as people rather than mothers and responsible people. Because you don't normally give yourself that, you wouldn't even think about sit down and writing something unless you have formed a group. Climbing apple trees and picking the pear tree, picking blackberries and eating them straight as I picked them. Picking carrots. I can't believe I wrote this.
It's a struggle to get out because of our situation, and it's very enjoyable. I suppose it's been a long time since I had a good laugh, and that's what's been happening. Yeah, Geoff, he's horrendous. He's a real teacher, isn't he, Geoff? What do we make of him? We're always complaining about him, and he's always so demanding, you know. But you know, on the upright side, obviously, he told us he'd give us a few bob, and we said he was a nice guy. So we said, yeah, Geoff for president.
So it's here, eyes up, mic here. There you go, back and forth. Want to give it a go?
It's all about the glimmers, a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of doubt, a glimmer of light. A firefly lighting the dark summer night. In the northeastern part of America where I grew up, fireflies are called lightning bugs, and they are nocturnal. If you're lucky enough to come across a group of them, they put on quite a display. Like fireworks on the 4th of July, or stars falling from the sky.
The way you're using your voice, the emotion that you're putting into it, your pauses are excellent. Yeah, it's really, really good, really strong, really, really strong. They should continue to have this, you know, hour and a half a week where they meet up and write, or even if it's just like a period or set some time apart. But they've been amazing. They've been saying like that when they're at home now. Poems are coming into their head and they're jotting them down. And so I think that group will continue. I would be disappointed if they didn't push on.
Well, I don't know whether I'll write, but it certainly started an interest. Whether I'll actually do it, I don't know. I'd imagine if I can't sleep, I'll either write or draw like I did last night. But it's certainly, we were talking about maybe some night we'd all go to one of the poetry nights and one of the open nights. So
each and every one of you, the depth that you get into your pieces, doesn't matter how long it is, like the depth, like it's just incredible. Like, I honestly feel very privileged to be part of this group, really and truly.
Just like King Frederick of Prussia, back in 1789, apparently about the love of his life once said, "A woman's best friend is her dog." No, I don't think he said that. I did. He said, a man. Or maybe he said, the answer to my bag of words is you.
I was so excited for the launch event, and I was nervous as well, a bit apprehensive. I was thinking, are these people going to come? Because we sent loads of invitations out, so I was delighted when they start coming through the door. So I want to start off with a quote by E. Cummins that said, "It takes courage to grow up and turn out to be who you really are." And I suppose that's what the essence is about of When I Grow Up, about giving people that voice and that outlet.
The room was packed and I didn't expect that. We had all the groups were meeting each other and seeing each other for the first time. There was nerves in the room, there was a lot of nerves, but there was an awful lot of positivity there as well. And I think then for the community that came in to see the groups perform, that like the feedback from them was that they were completely blown away by the talent.
My mother used to love flowers and plants, but living up at the top of a tenement house in the heart of Dublin, it was hard, just a dream. But my mother put a mint plant in a box and put it out on the windowsill. It was coming on nicely and the smell would come through the window, till a pigeon decided to make it her home and laid eggs in it. So we had to let her stay till they hatched. So goodbye to our mint. That's it.
My life hasn't gone the way I expected, does it ever? From arm and raves to disco days before I knew I had lost my way. See, addiction isn't a thing that creeps up on you. Your life is normal and then you turn around and it smothered you. It left me fighting for my life.
This was the tester, to get them up, performing and to get over the nerves, and they did it, amazingly, so I'm delighted with it. So the Finglas Youth Resource Centre add another element to the show. They're a music group, they're very talented, and they came to the launch and they exploded on the stage.
Yeah, new kind. I'm Jimmy, that's Clayton, that's Tommy.
I'm a rapper, he's a guitarist and singer, and he's a beatboxer and rapper.
The youth group I thought was fun because they challenged me right at the end. Like everybody else was like, oh, you're writing the message, that's fantastic. But the youth group went, how do we know that you're any use?
I think Finglas Youth Resource, they've been through a lot recently. They've lost somebody, that particular group, and so they're coming to terms with losing a friend.
Finglas Youth Group here, we're going to perform a song they wrote for their friend Sean Hughes, who passed away tragically early on this year.
Why did you have to go so soon? Why did you have to go so soon? Everything we see reminds us of you. Why did you have to go? Please stand by me. But now you're gone to the highest mountains and the deepest seas.
The launch event was a really important day. It was incredibly important. I didn't know how important it was until kind of afterwards. I was saying to a lot of the members from the groups that this was a time for them to get over their kind of stage fright, to kind of break the ice and to just throw themselves into the performance of it.
But I was very happy. Now my sister asked me for something. I said, no.
Yes, this is always a time for me where I start to get excited but also apprehensive and somewhat nervous about, are people going to show up? Are they all going to turn up and perform, and just the logistics of everything.
It was the first day of rehearsals, proper rehearsals in the theatre itself, in the access, so it was kind of about getting the guys used to where they're standing on the stage, getting them used to performing in a venue that's as big as this, and then how to use the microphone, how to project the voice, normal kind of thing for rehearsal.
My dad would often say, it may have been a bad experience, but at least it was an experience. Life is a collection of experiences. So far I've had quite a few, some good, some bad. Highs and lows, nothing unusual.
I would have loved to have a lot more time to rehearse. Performing on stage it's a whole different ball game. You're not performing in the group. You have to have a theatrical element, and even when it comes to, as you were saying, like how to project your voice, that takes a lot of time to get to that level, or to be comfortable with. I'm not talking my normal voice. This is my voice that I'm hitting the back of the room. If we had a little bit more time, I would have loved for them to have learned off the pieces. It's just, I don't think it's actually possible with such a short amount of time, and having never done that before.
I suppose I'm overwhelmed with the amount of writing that has been produced within the groups. Has been phenomenal. It's almost like they were always writers, and that they're just really exploring that again.
Verbal, paper, people.
Now we'll start. Everyone just opposite side. Stick it all the way out. Put it away and stop.
I want to have 4 muffler because rich people have them.
I want to be a fairy.
What did you say, Geoff?
In 6 weeks, to be on a stage in, you know, one of the major theatres in Ireland, it's a fantastic achievement for all of them. And even like I've been saying to them, don't worry, I'll get up on stage and all. But in the back of my mind, I'm saying like, this is a big thing, you know. Like to get on stage is a big thing, and I've been trying to play it down. So I'm really proud of each and every one of them because they've come on an incredible journey, and the standard of writing that they've risen to, the ideas that they've progressed, and just the confidence within themselves to get up here and do it. It's just, I'm amazed by it, absolutely amazed. I'm delighted for them, and as I say, I just couldn't be prouder. It's just, everything's just fitting into place really well. It just looks great. I'm really, really, really excited. I think it's going to be a very, very strong show.
Blown away by the groups and the talent that's been on show tonight, and I'm really, really proud of what's going to happen. So this piece is called Return to Innocence, and you're in for a real treat. So I want you to put your hands together and give these ladies a huge round of applause.
I remember when I was 8, we played spin block. A boy kissed me and thought I was going to have a baby.
When I was 14 years old, I was out on the road playing rounders with my friends. And I saw my sister's pal coming up and knocking at my house and she said, "Is your mum in?" And I said yes, so in she went. And the next thing the door opened and I was called in off the street. And my mum said, "Go up and wash your hair and clean yourself up because you're starting work in the morning."
Looking back on my life, I was never a teenager. I went straight to work from school and gave the money I earned to my mother. My teenage years were spent working, going to the pictures and dancing in basement clubs.
Now that I have grown up, life is different. I'm glad I never became a ballerina because I was not cut out for it.
Of all the flowers that bring back memories for me, it's the rose. That is my favourite. It was my husband's favourite flower, and he planted them all over the garden. I still have him in my mind when I see them in our garden.
And after all of this, we have come to realise that it's not about money or possessions. It's about one simple thing: love.
All you need is love, la 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 la. All you need is love, la 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 la. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need.
It's all about the glimmers, a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of doubt, a glimmer of light. A firefly lighting the dark summer night.
As she went through her school years, the brave little soldier girl, not a tear did she shed. She never let them see it hurt her, the nasty things they said. When she got older, she had children and was married. A normal life she led. Until one day, he has autism, they said.
Before my children, I was the centre of my own universe. Now my children have taken my place. Being a mother has allowed me to feel love like I have never felt before. The kind of love I did not know was possible. The kind of love that makes your heart expand. But remember, what brings the greatest joy will bring the greatest pain.
Responsibility weighs heavy on my mind. Need to get some relief, escapism of some kind. Time for a break, some personal space. Need to de-stress, and I know just the place.
The wingman has taught me to appreciate myself
As I've got older, I've learned to embrace other words. Words like kindness, understanding, selfish, unselfish, a good listener. However, on a bad day, even with my MAC makeup and lipstick, I find it hard to explain the intensity of the spectrum of my emotions.
I knew at a young age I was different. I just didn't have a name for it. I do now. Borderline personality disorder. A sinister name. It has brought me to marriage breakup, prison, homelessness, and being apart from my child. And now, all those things have made me the woman I am today. Strong, no longer scared, free from shame, with a heart bursting to make life a little easier for those suffering with mental illness, and to make a certain 20-year-old very proud of his mum.
She supported me when I was off to sign for college, you see. I was only 14 at the time, but she didn't mind. She just wanted me to be happy. I don't dream of being a footballer. I don't dream of owning a mansion or fast cars. My dreams are bigger than that. I dream of stability. I wake up every day with my loving family, 4 kids, a partner that loves me. And I still don't feel like a leader, and I don't want anyone to follow my path. But for the first time in a long time, I'm proud to be me.
The crowd cheered. I was sober, performing with Jimmy and Echo and the other lads in the band, doing rock and roll band. We were just fulfilling our dream. Rock on, thank you, God bless you.
Best friend, the brother, we'll never get another. Little brave man, you had so much to discover. Writing down rhymes, one after another. Spitting bars, like no other. I miss you, brother.
And I'll never be a papa on the 12th of January. It's the call of my heart. You will always be a friend. Why did you have to go so soon?
Why did you have to go so soon?
Everything we see reminds us of you. Why did you have to go? Please stand by me. We're now and gone to the highest mountains and the deepest seas. You are our angel now. Oh, I'm gonna see you rosy cheeks. Each other takes me to the beach. How we go now and gone, and it's hard for us to breathe. I know you're looking down upon me. Why did you have to go so soon? Everything we see reminds us of you. Why did you have to go? Please stand by me. But now you're gone to the highest mountains and the deepest seas. But now you're gone to the highest mountains and the deepest seas.
Yeah, I certainly have been changed a lot, and yeah, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I mean, even though I'm coming to the stage where I'm absolutely exhausted, that I've put everything I could possibly put into this, if somebody asked me to do it again tomorrow, I'd be right there, first group tomorrow morning. Yeah.